Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast by Closers.io where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Samuel Konzum, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful startups, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future expansion. Today, we're excited to have Dave Clare, the founder and CEO of Circle Leadership. Dave will be sharing more about his founding story, giving us a glimpse into his plans for future growth. So let's jump right in. Dave, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks, Sam. Real privileged to be here, man. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your podcast.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you. Take us back to the beginning for you. Where did this journey start, and what really led us into the world of entrepreneurship for yourself?
Wow. Yeah. So I grew up through very strong conditioning influences to get a job with a secure company organization like a government, a bank, or a telco, or something like that. My dad was a very successful business person, but he forayed into entrepreneurship himself to an extent, more so through franchising. But the two franchisors that he was a part of went broke. And so he lost both those businesses that he was running. And so I guess from his perspective, it was like, hey, don't put yourself at risk like that. Go get a secure, safe job. And so I did that for many years of my life. But there was just, I say this to people, there was, I don't know, you get that little whisper in the back of your mind. It's like, when am I going to actually go and see when I can put my money where my mouth is and, instead of trading time for money, go and build something of my own. And so it's about 33 years old. I just came back from Papua New Guinea. I lived there doing leadership consulting for a bank over there. And it was kind of like my foray into being an independent consultant. And then I thought, okay, from here on in, I'm never going to have a job again. Which wasn't true because I ended up having a job sometime later in life. But that was my thing. Okay, Dave, here's your chance to put yourself out there. And I started my own practice of leadership development back in Canada in 1999. So that was my foray into entrepreneurship.
Got it. And for you, what would you say the core problems that you help solve people in the space for? Like what specific problems are driving you into leadership development and into the current marketplace?
The biggest problem, I guess, right now that we're helping people to solve. I mean, there's multiple problems, but if you look at it, the largest challenge organizations have, and it's what I learned from my own businesses, failed twice because I was so focused on growth, which is about being more for more, that we weren't evolving. So obviously, everything we do is evolution first, growth second. And right now, how many businesses do we know that are growing out of business? They've grown so big, when the market shifts or turns, they can't keep up with it, or if consumer demands or something else happens, a disruption comes along, they're not ready. They're not able to respond. They can barely react, let alone respond, let alone lead. So the biggest challenge we're trying to do is help people make evolution the natural state of their business and have growth spurts along the way. Right. So that because every twice when my business has failed that I've had is because we were growing so big, it was great, but we weren't able to move with the market. Or we were so busy making money like this that we didn't realize that this is where the future was heading. And so our ability to evolve and respond at worst and lead at best is what we're seeking to help people do. And then through that, creating the culture and strategy alignment and the world-class leadership to enable that organization to thrive. So
Mm. Walk me through how those experiences with those other ventures that didn't maybe work out the way that we were intending, how have those influenced the way that you now handle business for yourself?
influenced tremendously. Certainly, so like my first leadership business that I had, for example, we had a team of 7 people. It was great. We were doing phenomenal in our marketplace. Now, a couple of things did happen, though. I went through a divorce, and then the global financial crisis came along and wiped out the other half of my business. But as I look at that, the team, we built this amazing team. We were just so focused on moving forward where we were, and then, like say, something global happened, technically outside our control. We had well, forgetting the divorce aside, but the global financial crisis, I had no control over that. But it helped me realize that we were so into one market. So we were heavily into automotive, like tier one suppliers. So when Obama reached in and pulled all the plants out of Southern Ontario back into the USA, decimated 70% of my business. So I had realized I hadn't thought about diversifying from industries. And so now, like the work that we do today, we are industry agnostic. I know people say you should, the riches are in the niches and things like that, but for us, we've got a very clear identification of who our ideal client is, and it doesn't matter what industry they're in. So we've learned from that. Also, we used to do programs, so we would run a program, and then when the program was finished, we'd have to go get another client to do another program. So we lived and died by the programs, and it was building a cash flow style business based on sales of programs. So now the work that we do is systematic. So we've developed a system and a process, which there is no start and there is no finish. Well, there's a start, I guess, but there's no finish. We can choose to end, or the client can choose to end at any time they like, but it's not a prescribed, okay, you've done the program now. And we have also then able to build, something of substance rather than just a cash flow business. Because what I had before, when you're selling programs, is just a cash flow business. There was no recurring revenue. You weren't building any equity in anything.
Really
So
just a front end model, almost like extracting the cash as opposed to building something of value, something
yeah,
that can scale long term.
yeah, absolutely. And so, there was no constant book of business. So we have clients with us today who've been with us since in this inception of Circle Leadership, like 7 years. They're still with us today,
Mhm. Got
right?
it.
So
Walk us through right now, like how does the business itself actually generate its revenue? Like what is the model? Who do we specifically work with? Are we working with, let's say in the B2B markets, working with full companies, or are we working with individuals? What does that look like?
Yeah. So firstly, my philosophy on B2B and B2C is that it's all H2H. It's all human to human, right? Businesses don't buy from businesses. People in business buy from people in business. So we'll start with our ideal client. So our ideal client is usually someone who employs 50 to 150 employees. They're a privately held company, and that the business owner or leader, we only deal with, like I said, private. So we deal with the CEO, the business owners, the leaders of the company, the owners primarily, and that they actually care about their humans and they're willing to go first. So if they're not willing to go first, their team can't go further, right? So that's our ideal client profile. And then we work directly with the leadership team and starts there. And it's kind of what we would call like a ripple effect rather than top down. We create a ripple effect through the organization. But if that leadership team doesn't go first, there's no space or capacity for the rest of the team to go. So that's who we're looking to work with when we're supporting those organizations. And once again, we have clients all around the world. So Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, USA. So once again, doesn't matter where you are, we're able to serve in a hybrid model in today, like I'm here in the studio right now, that we would serve our clients all around the world from, and I travel and meet them as well. So, but those are our ideal clients. Those are the ones that we want to help. And they're already successful businesses, but once again, they want to be able to take their organization to that next level and once again, as I've said before, respond at worst, lead at best in their industry, uh, in their field of expertise, in a way where they can constantly evolve and stay relevant. Right? Because people lose relevance very quickly in a world where things are happening so fast right now. So
Absolutely. And with scale too comes the component of entropy, where if you are not able to adapt and not able to change, you're going to lose ultimately in the long run. You're going to either
yeah.
go out of business or whatever the case may be. Specifically for you, what have you noticed from a channels perspective or even just a process perspective? What has been the best process for client acquisition that you've noticed over the years?
Yeah, and this is really awesome because we've tried virtually every part, if you name it, every way to market our organization, to promote the work that we do, and surveyed our clients like how they would have found us and things like that. And ultimately, the best acquisition is always still word of mouth. So referrals is number one, right? Especially when you've had people with you for 7 years, we have like advocates and ambassadors in our organization now who advocate for us. We have two ambassadors in different parts of the world who actively can bring people into our organization on our behalf. For us, it's always been either events, workshops, webinars, like we do, like LinkedIn wise for us. Facebook has not been a very successful platform. I know it's the Mac Daddy of all lead gen and things like that to a lot of people, but for us, most of our clients that we've spoke to said we would never have found you on Facebook. We would never have looked for you on Facebook. Let's put it this way, we have a website. It's not a great one, but it's not been a massive thing for us. It's getting out there and sharing the message. So out speaking, we run workshops. So I speak at a lot of events around the world. Obviously, I've written some books, and then we run our own workshops and webinars. And we're very active on socials, but primarily LinkedIn is our platform, if you wish, where most of the types of people that we serve find us. And yeah, and it's from speaking and referrals.
Understood. And for you, as we look just with the current situation, what would you describe your current biggest bottleneck in the business? Is it related to the lead generation side of things, the sales process, fulfillment capacity, or is it something else?
The biggest bottleneck in the business is me.
Mm.
And it's replicating me, which we're addressing right now. So we now have a team here in Australia. So I got Gavin here in Australia, I got Colin in the US, because I'm the one who's doing all the sales, the facilitation. I had a team doing some of the coaching and support, but for me, if I'm the one who has to do all the out there, if you want to do the sales for want of a better term, and share the message and things, and then I have to do the coaching and facilitation, we've always been, it's limited our ability to scale, if you wish, right? So replicating me has been the biggest bottleneck. And now we're able to do that with I have two amazing human beings here that are helping, that are doing sales now. We've actually had sales happen that I didn't have to do now, which is fantastic. But also now with the ability with AI and that to actually create a digital Dave is also helping us move forward as well. So we're investing heavily right now in AI and creating a digital twin of my brain, if you wish, which could be scary to a lot of people. Uh, the but you know how we think and how we act and all the questioning and the nuances of the way that we do what we do with our clients to that. So the yeah, I am the biggest bottleneck in our business from a sales, from facilitation, from coaching, from scale. So it's always been replicating me because
Walk us through.
nobody does what we do the way we do it, Sam, right? So that it's been helping. It's not like ours is similar to, you know, appreciate there'll be a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, but you do the same thing as these guys," but we don't, and the way we do it is different as well. So we've developed our own unique methodologies, processes, thought patterns that we use with our clients. So how do we replicate that?
I want to explore more into that because you have, multiple different processes, as you put it, processes, not
Yeah,
programs. One
yeah,
being the fast execution method. Yes,
yeah,
fast execution method. One being the next 90 business evolution system, and one being the leap group coaching process. Walk me
yeah,
through how those dovetail into each other and what that process looks like for people working with you.
yeah, absolutely. So basically, what we do is we help them build their business evolution roadmap. Okay, so we actually have. You ever heard the expression, Sam? Like, I wish I could get everybody on the same page.
I have.
Right? So I say to them, well, show me the page. And they go, it's just a metaphor, isn't it, Dave? And I'm like, well, no. And then we actually have culture and strategy on a page. So we've developed this business evolution roadmap. So once we've helped them map out their roadmap, we then offer them the opportunity to participate in our next 90 business evolution system, right, or process. And that is an ongoing, 90-day cycles, if you wish, where we help them then start to execute on that roadmap. So we reverse engineer from there to here, and then we next 90 business evolution system is there where they get full access. It's kind of like the all-inclusive process that they get then that we help them to build that organization to become that business they need to become to evolve and stay relevant, but also at the same time to help them become the leader they need to become to build that business. Right. So that the next 90 is kind of the overarching process. So it's like weekly accountability, monthly coaching, quarterly intensives. But in that, they also get access to our fast execution method. So what we did is we studied why do some of our clients execute at a far greater rate than other ones. And I also studied other businesses out there that seem to execute really well. And we found four key things that actually contribute to execution at the highest rate. Because, people will tell you, ideas are everything. Sorry, ideas are easy. Execution is everything. Ideas are welcome, but execution is worshipped. So we wanted to bust the myth that execution is hard because there's a perception that execution is really hard. So when people have focus, accountability, simplicity, and transparency, you execute at a higher rate than you did. So we developed a methodology that would help them create an innate focus on what mattered most, a systematic approach to accountability, simple tactical plans, and transparency so everyone can see what everybody's working on. And then our clients then embody that through the next 90 process. Then, as I alluded to, so there's next 90, then they get the fast execution, which helps them do the weekly accountability stuff. And then the monthly coaching. So we have coaching we do with the CEO business owner, but also their leadership team. We help them identify what's that next leap in their own personal evolution. We don't do training per se, it's transformational learning. So it's about who you become. Who do you need to become as a leader to build the business that you want to have? And so we have our leadership evolution action plan. So we map out an action plan for their transformation over the next 12 months. And then we do group coaching for their team. So the individual gets the CEO gets the one-on-one, and then the leadership team goes into our group coaching methodology. So those are the three things that come as a back end after we've done the roadmap for the clients.
I see
And
how
so
you
now,
describe it as really a ripple method because there are,
yeah,
certain processes that are encompassing certain components, but obviously everyone is getting something out of that process.
yeah,
Specifically
yeah,
for you, I want to tail more in or tailor back into like the sales process and your
yeah.
team and as you've scaled that process. How have you structured that and what have you seen primarily in, let's say, the sales and marketing functions that has worked for you so far? And what do we really expand and what does that vision look like here 6 to 12 months down the road?
Yeah, so for us, firstly, like I have no problem with word sales, but what we're looking to do is help people. My definition of sales is facilitating a smart buying decision. So how do we help people facilitate a smart buying decision? And if that's with us, that's great. If it's somewhere else, then that's fine. We'll help them with that. But this is something that you choose to buy into. All right. So it's not something we're going to sell to you. We'll share with you, give you all the information to do it. So our sales methodology is fundamentally this. Once we have someone who's interested, if you wish, we'll all have a what we call a world of work call, a wow call with them. And that's for me to assess them whether I believe that they care deeply enough about their people and that they would be the kind of leader who'd be willing to go first. All right. So subject to where those leads came from or that conversation came from, whether it's from a workshop, they saw me speak, they saw something we've done on LinkedIn, or it was a referral from a client, they would feed into that world of work call, which is usually like a 10, 15-minute call, just a general thing. And then at the end of that call, I decide whether I'm going to offer them a free leadership workshop. Because as I said, we do things differently to other organizations. We're really heavy into the, evolving the world of work, which is, the future work, the future of leadership, which is already here. So we don't do things like traditional leadership training. We don't do all that sort of stuff. Um, so we then show them what we call the magic and science. So I offer them to do a workshop for their team. So the leader and then whoever their senior leadership team is, a free workshop. Now, I do that for a couple of reasons. One is so they understand all the philosophies and principles and the methodologies that we would be working with them on, but also so that leader can go back to their team and say, is this something that we think would be the best thing to take our organization from where we are to where we're capable of going and for ourselves. Because once we get into the process, it can be tough and challenging at times. So those, rather than the leader going, hey, we're all going to do this, they're going, hey, he or she can go, hey, we agreed we're going to do this. So they've got their team buy-in at the very beginning as well. And then subject to that, they can come back to us and say, yeah, we all agree. We think this is the right way for us, our organization to move forward. This is how we want to build this amazing culture. This is what we want to do for our strategy and the world-class leadership we'd like to develop. We love the way you think about it. We want to do this. And so
Really
we go from
an
there.
anti-sale, if you will, or a very consultative approach that's almost forcing ownership out of the team themselves, not just the
Yeah.
leaders who
Yeah.
typically would make people making those decisions for everybody.
Yeah. And if the team don't, then my follow-up to that would be asking the leader as to if you really liked it and your team didn't, what is that telling you about your organization right now?
Mm.
And if you'd like to have a conversation about that, then you and I can have a one-on-one about that, and we'll talk about that. And maybe I'll give you some ideas and things you can do to work on with your team. So
For
yeah,
sure.
so that's our thing. So now I'm then obviously now trained Colin and Gavin how to run those workshops and to do that, and they understand, the magic and science, which is why they love to be a part of our organization. The funny thing is, they both. You have to. We create like an individual roadmap for each of us. Each of us has everything that we would ask our clients to do, we all have done it ourselves. So we are absolute practitioners.
Mhm.
And so those two gentlemen are practitioners first. So they've experienced it, they've gone through it. So they understand all the magic and science and they've felt the transformation in themselves. So they now have learned how to run those workshops themselves. So from a sales point of view, I now have three people out there who can go and do these leadership workshops and to inform the magic and science with the potential clients that we may choose to serve going forward. And so
Understood.
that doesn't have to be me because I can only do so many of those plus so many facilitations plus so many.
Mhm.
So now we've tripled that out, and which is great. And then with AI in the back end running a lot of our other stuff as we build that, the ability to scale will be dramatic because, as you would well know in your experience, that simplicity scales, complexity fails.
Absolutely.
So keep it
Absolutely.
simple.
And as we do look to scale, for you, what are the core priorities that you guys are keeping top of mind right now, really going through 2025 and into the future?
Yeah, I've been really blunt about this to virtually everyone I speak to is that 2025 is your year to get ready. Because if you're not prepared by the end of 2025, 2026, you think this is insane what's happening right now. I think with quantum computing and whatever else might be coming along, that 2026, if you're not like as I said before, if you're not able to respond at worst, lead at best by the end of 2026, sorry, 2025 for 2026, if you're still reacting, you might as well just, hang your hat up and walk out the door and pass the keys to somebody because your business won't survive. And I don't mean to sound doom and gloomy about it, but it's like, please get ready. So we're looking totally ourselves, like readiness. So the theme for 2025 is readiness. So we're getting ready. We're investing heavily in our AI and our platform. We're not investing in AI just to do what we're doing today. We've mapped out as we work with our clients, where's our business going to be in the next 3 years? Who do we need to become in the next 3 years? We're building AI for that and bringing it back to where we are. Right. So we want to be leading at best, right? Not responding at worst. So responding at worst would be me sitting here and go, well, let's at least get the AI to do the stuff that we're already doing. We've chosen to do that because in 2025 is the year to get ready. And if you're
That
not
also
ready by the end of
positions
25, you're in trouble.
I was just going to say that also positions you, especially in the world of AI and even in marketing, as things are always constantly changing, really moving yourself or having that first moving principle where you might be the
Mm.
first person who have really adapted to the changes that are coming, which means you
Mm.
have an inherent advantage as that market shifts and as ultimately people who are, falling behind, ideally avoiding getting left behind, but unfortunately that will happen as well.
Yeah.
Interesting
So
question for you here. Sorry, do you have a
okay.
response on that?
No, no, no. I was just going to say one of our core values at Circle Leadership is insight, which is to anticipate and act in advance.
Mm,
So we can't live that value if I'm not thinking like that.
absolutely.
Right. So,
Interesting question for you, especially with the technology that we have available, but specifically for you, if this was a question of, resources complete out of the question, human capital, financial capital, time capital, what actions would you take that are different maybe to what you're currently doing as far as growing the business and really scaling to the future, if any?
yeah. So it's interesting. One of the things we challenge leaders on, so it's the same thing would be for us, is it a lack of resources or a lack of resourcefulness? Right? Ideas and innovation come from people, not budgets. Right? So it's a finding game, not a funding game. So what we would be doing is we would certainly be challenging the way we do things. Would we need to do, if we're marketing or promoting our organization? I used to run something way back in the day, in my younger days, called zero marketing. And it would be a workshop I ran with people. If you had no money to spend, how would you promote and market your business? And so, we'd be out banging on the streets, putting flyers out, doing whatever you had to do, old school way. We would just be tapping into what the humans we do have and the innovation, creativity, curiosity, the imagination, and the empathy that we have, and looking at what ways could we do this to market and promote this organization. I'm fortunate enough to come from a generation where we didn't have the internet when I started my sales journey. That first foray into business, I sat on a deep freezer with an old business directory, a highlighter, and a pencil, and a phone fax machine where I was calling people up. So I have no problems in doing whatever it needs to be done to reach the people that we want to reach and get in front of. Yeah, once again, I don't know exactly what we'd actually do, but I just know that we would be resourceful about doing it.
Mm,
That's all I can tell you. Like, please understand, anyone listening to this, that one day all the resources could be gone, but one thing they can't take from you is your resourcefulness. And build a resourceful team, tap into the ideas and innovation of the human beings in your team, because that's where all the answers are, on the inside, not on the outside.
absolutely. Personal question for you. As you look back on your journey thus far, what would you say is the single best piece of advice you've ever received individually about either business, life, or entrepreneurship as a whole?
Yeah, wow.
Big
I've
question,
received
I
so
know.
much great advice. Um, I'll tell you, the advice that I was best without actually wasn't given to me as advice, it was experienced as advice. And that's having a mentor. Have a mentor. And my very first mentor outside of my parents was a man named John McGinnis. And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I tell you what, that was my first foray into actually having a mentor, somebody who'd, led large teams and was a phenomenal leader, and that I could emulate and role model from, and his persona and everything like that. That it has definitely informed a lot of who I am today. I'd like to say outside my parents. Um, but have a mentor was probably the best business decision, which came from advice but not advice. Yeah, and then the only other thing would be just around that. Yeah, like build a business. Is cash flow is not a business, right? Because then if you have just a cash flow thing, which is great, and you might just want a cash flow thing, that's fine. But if you want to build a business isn't just cash flow, right? Where
If
you're just
you,
making money.
as you look to maybe a younger generation of entrepreneurs or people maybe getting into this for the first time, is that the same advice you would give them, or what else would you include in that as to advice for someone who may just be getting started in this process?
I get banned from startup events, I think, because I used to speak at a lot of them because of the answer to this question. And what I find is a lot of people who are starting up a business, so they try to go and find money. What you should be doing is starting up the solution to a problem, right? So if you're going to start a business, find a problem that you're passionate about solving for a group of people. Okay, when I say passion, I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about the root of the word passion means to suffer. All right, so your ability to endure. What are you willing to endure for or through to solve this problem? So whatever you see a problem out there, you go, I will find a way to solve this problem, because with this most powerful why, you can find many hows and many whats and many wins. So go out there and find what is the problem you're really passionate about solving in the world for a group of people, and start finding ways to solve that problem. And then through that, you might need some resources. You might need some help from people. You might need some things. You might need to organize some stuff to be able to do that at a grander level. Then you need an organization. Therefore, you have a business. Therefore, you'll need funding for that business. But I always say to people, go start up the solution to a problem. Don't try to start up a business. Because
Understood.
then when
Dave, I
money's
want
your
to
end
thank
game, you'll end up playing any game, right? Because this is what happens. People are like, oh, we're just trying to start a business so we can make money. Great. Well, when money's your end game, you'll play any game. And then you end up diluting what you were standing for. And we try to be everything to everybody, as you would know in marketing world, that you end up becoming nothing to somebody.
where by contrast, having a specific problem and really having that problem-centric approach for a
Yeah.
specific individual, I mean, that's really how you stand out or you be unique or different compared to everyone else in the marketplace. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like Simon Sinek's done a great job at popularizing that people buy why you do what you do, which is great. But I'll assure you that your values are why they buy it from you. So when you start thinking, what makes you unique in the way you think about solving that problem for people? So that problem might actually being solved right now by somebody else. But if you look at that and you go, I think there's a better way or different way to solve this, or you have a unique way of looking at the solution to that problem, that's what people are going to buy. They're going to look to buy that solution, but they're going to buy it from you because of how you think about it. So get very clear on what it is that, how you think about that problem, because that's what's going to stand out in a marketplace. When you strive to be better than somebody else, you're comparable, but when you strive to be different, you stand alone.
Mm.
So find your unique way of solving that problem. It could be a problem that's already there, that someone else is already solving, but they're just not doing it the way that needs to. There's a lot of people out there. We say this, Sam, like there's a lot of people out there who can help you with your culture. There's a lot of people who can help you with your strategy. A lot of people who can help you with your leadership. But there's only one organization out there who can help you do all three in total alignment, and that's us. And that's what our unique way of thinking is, that we've created an alignment process to be able to create culture and strategy alignment and build a world-class leadership to bring it to the world. So we've taken all those things that were already out there, but we've developed our own unique methodology in which does it like that. So how we think about it is what makes us unique. The problems are already there.
Absolutely. And it really positions you as the best option for someone, not another option for somebody.
Correct. Right. Like the fundamental thing is, anyone here wants to make money. Here's a simple answer: how to make money. Solve lots of problems for lots of people. Right? If you want to make gobloads of money, solve lots of big problems for lots of people. But it all comes down, what's your unique way about how you think about solving that problem? That'd be my advice to any young, new entrepreneur, somebody starting on care old you are, if you decided to foray into entrepreneurship. What makes you unique in the way you think about solving that problem? Because that's why people will
Dave,
buy from you.
this has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you jumping on with us and sharing your story as well as your insights here. To all of our listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales through trained sales individuals and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you in the next episode.